It's just going maybe a little bit up. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want a fourth mic, or can I share
That's good. We've got another mic here.
But what about, because there's two people, there's going to be another person.
Oh, we'll be sharing a mic.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Foreign policy. Beautiful.
Okay, guys, we will start on 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi everybody, Monday night, 6:30 here at Tropical Nomad. My name's Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect. Today my guest, a brother from there's been a few brothers from a different mother, so maybe I should say brother from a different father or something. So, so Ryan Fix, welcome to the show, welcome to Speak Up Monday.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, brother. Now, we're going to get into Ryan's story pretty soon, but Ryan is a founder of Pure Project. And, you know, what you do is something that connects us both, this ability to bring people in from different backgrounds, ideologies, ways of seeing the world to create enterprises, projects, and initiatives which uplift humanity, right? Which I absolutely love about you. It's what I love to do as well. And you've had an incredible background, foreign policy, which you studied, which we'll get into. You know, the dot-com boom you did really well through. You had this real estate, I'm gonna call you a real estate empire, real estate titan back in New York, and been living all over the world and been building up networks all over the world, but with this really conscious understanding of what human capital is and the importance of it. So the first thing that I'd love to ask you is, you know, Pure Project. So what is it? What is its intention? And how is it making that intention felt in the world at large?
Thanks for the question. Hello, everyone. So Pure actually is an acronym which stands for Purposefully Uniting, Radiating Essence. So said another way, to come together purposefully and to be our true self, to be our full self. So to create a safe space within a community, within an organization, so that we can really thrive as individuals, but also as a collective. And so Pure Project is an initiative that seeks to do that, and with the intention of creating organizations that are designed to uplift humanity. And so over the past 2 decades, I've been experimenting and researching with different modalities and building a methodology for how we can map our consciousness, how we can better understand ourselves so that we're no longer controlled by fear, but we can actually free up our capacity to radiate our essence and our creativity in a much fuller capacity. And the belief is that when we do that as a community, we can truly create anything that can uplift humanity.
I love it. And I mean, map consciousness. So for me, I get a feeling of what that looks like. But if you could explain that to us, mapping human consciousness, how do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, the way that I would look at it is that, you know, we have a set of emotions that we're aware of. And then when you really start to dissect some of the core emotions, you start to see that there's a map of many, many different emotions that whether they're below or above that emotion. So you can start to kind of map out by feeling into those emotions, what's underneath that emotion, what is that called, where did it come from? And then just kind of keep dissecting further and further so that we can get to the point where we can understand if there's anything that happens in our experience, that it's actually happening for us, not to us. And so we can actually receive that experience in such a way where it can help us to better understand who we are as individuals.
And like, how does that, express itself? Because people here are probably wondering, okay, so I get the wide view, right? And I get what feels like to be a very spiritual domain, but how does that find itself into everyday life? How can I quantify that in business terms, for example? What would you say?
Sure. So, and we experiment with this every single day. So when we are repressing our emotions, they're controlling us, and we're not in control of them. And so we can snap, we can lash out, we can feel like we're being attacked. We need to defend something. And in a workspace, when we're actually trying to collaborate with one another, we want to create an organism where we can all function harmoniously. And if we're constantly being triggered by what anyone around us says, and we feel attacked or we feel like we're being diminished, and then we react from that place, we create inefficiency and ineffectiveness in the organization to work towards the shared mission. So this is why culture is so critical in the healthy design of an organization or organism.
So foreign policy, right? That one stuck with me when I saw it. So when you say you studied foreign policy, if you could let us know what that is, and how does that relate, if it does, to what you're doing now?
Absolutely. I think it was Steve Jobs that told this story of everything makes sense when you look backwards. But for me, I grew up very confused why countries that would be living in harmony would all of a sudden start to break up and people would start fighting with one another. I just couldn't understand it as a kid. So I wanted to understand that. So that's what kind of drove me towards studying foreign policies. So I went to a university called American University in Washington, D.C., and it was a feeder program for the State Department. I really wanted to be an ambassador.
So did I. We have more in common than what you think. Sorry to interrupt you, but it had to come up.
So yeah, it was a. But once I got inside, I realized that that the impact that I wanted to create was not from within a government context, but outside of a government context, because I felt like I had more creativity, more freedom to be able to address challenges in unique ways.
So then people here watching, if they're in an organization right now and they want to build an enterprise, they're working with people from different parts of the world, and they're struggling, right? So if there were 3 steps, that they could take with the framework that you use, what would be, those 3 critical, crucial steps that could help them in creating this enterprise that has all those beautiful qualities that we said earlier on?
Yeah, sure. Actually, that's what brought me here to Bali. The last Pure project we worked on grew into the industry association for the co-living sector. And today we have, I want to say, somewhere around 800 members around the world. And so I was traveling around and visiting these different co-living projects, and I kept seeing the same trend, which was this collective craving for connection, wanting to live together, and then this experience of it being like a product that you could buy. And people would buy into community, and then the experience actually there was a lot of breakdown in the experience. And it really had me very curious as to what it was that I had created within our project that became a precursor for co-living back in 2012. And so that's what brought me here to Bali, as many people were asking me, okay, how do you design for a connection? How do you foster a nurturing community? And I think with any methodology, it has to be really simple to remember, but it's the application where it gets a little bit more complex. And so it's 3 different components. It's curation, integration, and experience. So curation is what is the shared thing that's bringing people together? Why are they coming together? Whether it's to live in a community or whether it's to work for a company, whatever it may be, what's that thing that's bringing them together? And then the second is the integration. How do you bring them into that experience, into that organization, into that community, such that they feel safe to be themselves? And then the third is the experience, which is actually a design process for what are all the things that happen within that community or organization that creates the positive friction or the connective tissue. So that could be anything from like events or rituals or dinners or whatever it may be. So yeah, so those are the three different components.
Got it. You know, the funny thing is that people probably wonder, it's a question that you wrote down, right? No. I don't write down questions. There's no pre-talk which is going to go into it. So it's funny how things arise. I love that authenticity and natural vibe and energy that flows through these sorts of conversations. So the other thought that came up was, so this is the work that you're doing now. And quite often, you know, in life, when we're on the road to finding out what it is that we're born to do, destined to do, or love to do, we take a few wrong turns, or, you know, it's like we've designed the perfect roadblock for us to overcome, which in doing so arms us with the strengths, skills, talents, abilities, and attributes to be the person to have the success in that area. So, with that being said, right, so back to little did you even dream about this? Why did this even come up? Where did it come from?
That's a can of worms. So
open the can, brother. Open the can. Wait a second. Should he open the can?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Should he open the can?
Show us.
Show us the can. Show the can. Open the damn can. All right. Show us the can, brother.
So I'll try to keep it tight. So my mom put me into when I was 2. By the time I was 5, I was in an Olympic training program, and so I was really determined, really competitive, winning all the competitions. And then at 12, I started to get really sick, and I couldn't hold food in my body anymore. I was losing lots of weight. My family was very concerned, sending me around to all different types of doctors, and they discovered that I had a brain tumor. And it was in a part of my brain that at the time they didn't have instruments to operate with because it was so deep inside of the brain. But they were experimenting. They were using lasers on joints, but they weren't yet using them on the brain. They were experimenting with monkeys, not yet with humans. But they thought I had 3 weeks to live, so there was no other choice. So they didn't give a great prognosis, of which I didn't pay any attention to because I was going to the Olympics and nothing was going to get in my way, and I was 12 years old and I was going to be fine. During the surgery, my heart stopped and I had to call a near-death experience. I didn't have a near-death experience until later. I just thought it was a really powerful dream. But when I came out of the surgery, I couldn't walk, I couldn't move, and it took over 2 years to get my movement back. And so during that time, I took my skill set that I learned from gymnastics, which is visualization, because to be a professional gymnast, you need to visualize every single detail with great accuracy in order to succeed and to get the highest score. So I took that and I went through and I asked myself 3 questions. What am I really great at? What do I love to do? And what serves the greatest good? And then I had a very strong experience when I was about 14, where I heard there was a lightning crash on the lake. Friend's house. I was playing with him in the backyard. I heard the voice in my head, your purpose is to help your friends make their dreams come true. And it was just super solid, clear, and it came so strong that it was like, I just thought it was like, some higher power. It wasn't super, but I knew that I needed to pay attention to it. So I built a plan. In America, the plan is make a bunch of money, retire young, and then you can help your friends make their dreams come true by investing in their dreams. So I built that. So I made that plan. And as an American, Wall Street's where all the money is. So I went to Wall Street. I made my way there, got good grades in school, and then I was miserable. And so I looked for the next pile of cash, which is in real estate. I have this hacker mindset. I like to break systems and figure out how to make them better. And I was young, and I was like, I need to make a bunch of money quick because I can't do this for long. And I figured out how to make a lot of money really quick in real estate in New York. And by 26, I had burnt out, and I sold my company, and I just started following that childhood dream again and just helping my friends with their different projects, businesses, and then, I'm 47 now, so with 20 years of experimentation behind me, I now have some ideas about how we can design organizations resilient and harmonious. And so that's what I'm focused on right now with Pure Project.
Oh, man. What a story. Man. Yeah. Oh. So the voice, have you ever heard it again? Yeah. And what does it say? Because I mean, there's people here who might be, in a situation. Again, everyone looks good, smells good, especially here in Bali, right? Everyone looks great and smells, well, maybe not in Ubud. I can't believe I just said that. I apologize to any Ubudians here. I do, but it's true. No, I apologize. Actually, I'm not smelling crash shot right now anyway. So who am I to talk? But yeah, so people look good, smell good, right? But we don't know what's going on inside their brain because they're too busy showing what they want you to see. Okay, so there may be some people here or some people watching who are, going through something quite serious. Might not be as dramatic as 3 weeks to live, right? But they're going through something. So, and there's many voices in their head, right? I mean, we all carry this self-talk, right? Everyone's got this voice talking right now. Whatever it's saying to you, it's saying. So that voice that you heard, how can that, it's a very difficult question, but how can you define it? How can you explain it to us in such a way that you think we'll get it?
Okay. Yeah. It's a big one. So I'd say the first thing is starting to develop an embodied intelligence. So start to get in touch with our feelings in such a way where we're not pushing them away. And when we're able to do that, we can start to feel more peace in our experience. And when we feel more peace, the noise in the head slowly starts to go away, and it just starts to be calm and quiet. And from that place, when I've heard this voice in my head coming from a quiet place, it's clear that it's coming from my higher self. It's being delivered in such a way that I need to listen. Yeah, but it's really about clearing the mind so that when the voice does come, we can identify it.
An experience comes up, which some of you know already, but if you don't, even better. If you do, pretend you don't. It's like, I know what he's going to say now. So, black kid, that's me. For the first 13 years at school, all my friends were white, and I was only black kid in a white school, basically. So I had these understandings that there was something wrong with me, right? 'Cause I didn't look like everyone else when I put a mirror up my face. And I was sit at home in a children's home. I grew up in 2 orphanages for 18 years. And probably when I was around the age of 12, there you go, what is it, 12? And sitting in my room, mirror up, pulling myself apart. Like nose is too wide, lips are too big, head pointy. I had hair back then. But it would really impact me in a negative way. So, like I wouldn't say depressed, but very, very down about it. And all the voices in my head were substantiating that, right? By saying, your lips are too big. Yeah, your face is too skinny. Yeah, you know, your head is pointy, right? Whatever, it was all coming. About for 4 or 6 months from memory. Now, one day, same thing happened after school, in my room, mirror up, going through that. But what it was there was a voice that I never heard before. And the only way which I can say it is the feeling of it. So the feeling of it was that it was coming from a warm, supportive place. And it wasn't tearing me down or pulling me apart. It was actually building me up.
Yeah.
And the first words that were said were, Rob, just look after your skin. I was like, what? Yeah, Rob, just look after your skin. I was like, now, I was a shy kid. All of my friends were girls. Kind of still are. So, but then they knew I wasn't a threat to them because I was too, like, I didn't have the confidence to hit on them anyway, right? So I was already into the exfoliator and the moisturizing cream. It's true, metrosexual from way back. And I'm looking around here and I see a few metrosexual, few guys who take care of themselves. Let's put it that way.
You started the trend.
Oh no, the trend started there. A metrosexual trend. But that was that voice that came for the first time, but it was like that, right? And I noticed it through the feeling of how it felt, which was warm, supportive, as opposed to like pulling me down. It was building me up. So through that filter, so what was the feeling behind that voice that you heard for the first time, and then we'll move on after that?
Yeah, I think that's really easy. It was truth.
Ooh.
It was just truth. It was like, okay, this is true. This is what I'm doing. That's the feeling. It was so uplifting. Yeah, I've noticed that throughout my life. Like I defend truth. I respond to truth. Yeah.
Got it, man. Through this conversation, even though we know each other, there's things you've said that I didn't know. And that's the whole point, right? So you're privy to a conversation that happens between 2 or 3 or 4 people, and it's like you're getting to know them as well, and that's the whole point really behind Speak Up Monday, but with the DNA, a base of inspiration. Not motivation, really. It's more it comes from within you, not from outside of you. Yeah, love it. So look, now I'm pretty sure that everyone gets kind of the fundamental essence of you as a person, right? What drives you, where you came from, why you're doing what you're doing now, right? So I think now's a great time. If you wouldn't mind, I want to invite 2 of your team up here. So yeah, please come on up. Mind the step. Give them a round of applause because there you go. Mind the step. That one's for you. So probably what I'll do is if I give you like a little time to introduce yourself, if that's okay, and maybe what you're doing with Pure. Yeah, it's on already. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Richal Ardani. I'm Indonesian. I'm from Jakarta, and I act as the community facilitator at Pure House and some of our projects. Thank you.
Beautiful. And pass that microphone over here. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Simone. I'm also a community facilitator at Pure. I originate from Jakarta too. So yeah, that's kind of boring.
No, not boring at all. So
Definitely not.
So now the reason why we got you up is, something here. I'm a foreigner. You're a foreigner. Last time I checked. And we got a few foreigners here who are watching. And one of the things that we feel is very important is this sense of, not even sense, that's not true, this ability to work together, this ability to actually exchange ideas and knowledge share, right? So that's why, I mean, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, for those of you watching, the motto of Indonesia, which is unity in diversity, right? So at the age of 12, I got that. Big racist attack in London. A lot happened at 12, didn't it? This huge racism attack in London, and after I was left upset, pissed off, I wanted revenge, I wanted all of that. But then 3 days later, I recounted a story that we learned in history. And the story was a story of the 100 Years' War. So there's a war for 100 years somewhere in the Middle East, apparently, and it went on for 100 years. A kid at school behind me put his hand up and said, "Miss, yeah, 100 Years' War, yeah. It can't be the same people fighting, can it? 100 years. You get it. I wasn't nowhere near. I didn't get it. After that attack happened, and after and rage and anger and pissed offness subsided, that's what I remembered, and I got it, which was, no, it's not the same people fighting, but it's what is passed down from generation to generation. This generational trauma, this generational hate for another person on the color of their skin, how they speak, where they're from, and all of that, right? And this happened at 12. Yeah. So I wanted to become the Secretary General of the UN, ambassador at 12, right? So I was laughing when you said ambassador. Well, I got it because this children's home was very multicultural. So we had people from everywhere. And I was always the youngest one. So even though we fought like cats and dogs and I was bullied and all this other stuff, when we had to come together, it was like there was no color, there was no accent, tone difference. It was like we were one person fighting against a unified foe. That's where I began to kind of experience this suspension of ideas and preconceived people, and to see each other for our soul of exchange and connection, right? And then the rest of life, this is not about me tonight, but the rest of life was all based around that. So, the question, either of you, which I'm pretty sure is going to be you. so Indonesian from Jakarta, you know, you're involved now, you know, working with this beautiful man, the foreigners in the team. Like, when you were growing up here in Indonesia with that wonderful motto, you know, like, what was your idea about working with foreigners as you were growing up? Like, what feelings did you have, or maybe what thoughts did you have when you were growing up?
Okay, so guys, I swear this is unscripted. Oh, I have to think about this. Okay, well, growing up in Jakarta, I felt fortunate enough where I have this quite significant westernized mindset, where I look up to a lot of Western references, the US, the States, United Kingdom, where there must be something to look up to from this westernized country. And let's not forget the fact that we are here in Bali, where most of us here for a reason. Bali chooses us, not we choose Bali somehow. And yeah, the moment I met Ryan and when he shared his visions, I felt that immediate clicks where, you know, it's not only about working along with whoever you are, where Ryan came from, but we actually move forward and think of how a better future and better possibilities is going to be. Somehow I kind of wrap it up that way, but maybe Simone would like to add something.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Simone, so for you, brother, like Simone, so for you, how was life growing up? Were you infused, kind of westernized, as you referred to it, that like westernized mindset about foreigners and everything else? Was that true for you as well?
Okay, so the interesting is my mom, she was an English teacher. So yeah, I had a lot of reference there, and she's a brilliant woman. And one of the things that she taught me So she used to work with a woman from the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken, and she kind of inherited that mindset of always respecting time, and it kind of grew into me up until today. And that's just one of the examples of how I grow up. Like, what are the different things? But there are also some things about Western culture that that my family are, kind of sensitive about. Like usually how we see them as Indonesians is that they're tough, and there's no tolerance, and that they look down on you. Is all proved wrong.
Wow.
By Ryan.
I'm so glad you said that. Again, little goose pimples, because this is, like this show, we interview locals from Bali, from Indonesia, as well as expats, foreigners, and so on, and was a question in my mind, because some people are here and maybe they've never worked with an Indonesian before. They've even met because they're in their bubble, right? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying what it is, right? So then if there was maybe 2 or 3 suggestions that you could give to, foreigners who are coming here to Indonesia, Bali, and coming to work with people, what would those 1, 2, or 3 suggestions be for them to be mindful of?
First of all, I would say it's all about respect. Upon, that we are all learning from each other. And there's something that we locals gotta learn from foreigners and vice versa. And with respect means that, I think the simplest way to put it is place others first, as if like you listen before you speak, you think of what they need before you say what you need from them, you fulfill your responsibility before you ask for your entitlement, and may occur differently to each and every one of you. Yeah, and first of all, it's respect. Maybe Simon, you will continue with the second one.
Thank you. No,
Let's go like
this. Yeah, we play tennis with it.
We go like with multi-conversation. Okay.
It's about working together, Simon.
All right. So my suggestion would be, so I know that there's a lot of how do I say this? There's a lot of perception of Indonesians from the Western people, and I wouldn't say that they're fully wrong. It's because that the difference between the West and Indonesia in specific is that we have a culture embodied inside of us, like traditions and religion to many degrees, and sometimes these things can get in the way, can get in the way of actually growing or being professional and things. But what the suggestion that I would give is, with the uprising of technology, Indonesians right now are much more exposure to not just Western but international culture, like how we should behave, or and I'm not saying that the international version of that is correct, but it's just a lot of us are now starting to learn, and we have a broader vision of what's out there and how we can excel in these things. So if you have 2 or 3 I would say uncomfortable experiences with Indonesians and vice versa, is don't stop there, because there are a lot of actual gems out here in the country. So that's my suggestion.
Love that, man. Thank you. And question for you, Ryan, and then we can come back to you after done. So Ryan, so working with these 2. By the way, can I have a round of applause for these 2? They just respect. Yeah. So earlier on, when we were sitting off camera, and we said, look, we're probably going to bring you up on stage, and I saw your faces were like, just a little bit like, what? and then I think I said, no, I won't ask you any uncomfortable questions. What the heck?
Trust me, in the office, like we actually laugh a lot. We are way more talkative than this. So we any of you guys to just like laugh and, you know, like not this serious.
but it's really like, I'm loving this, right? Because I have the chance, my wife is from Indonesia, from Jakarta, our 2 kids, Indonesian, Australian passports, and British soon. Have the chance to interact and to work together, but lots of people don't, right? And each time when I look around, like I see so many things that happen, and I'm like, you just don't know. And you only know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So that's why, you know, talking to you two who are like young, intelligent, smart, beautiful, like Indonesians coming forward, that's why I'm asking you these questions, because I'm curious, very interested, and I want to know, right? So that's the reason why I'm asking these questions, and nothing scripted, but that just dropped in my head. There you go. So question for you, Ryan, is, you know, if I ask you, so I love the word exchange, yeah? I think that's so powerful. So if there was an exchange, either of knowledge, culture, feeling, between these two beautiful people here and the whole of your team as well, tell us, you know, what some of those exchanges were. Exchange of knowledge, culture, what kind of have you personally received from working with this wonderful team?
Yeah. Well, life is like a box of chocolates. You know, this whole Pure project just kind of came up out of nowhere, and a friend of mine in Hong Kong said, let's create an all-Indonesian company, and let's train them on how to launch Web3 projects, NFT, metaverse, and so I was like, all right, sounds great. Like, I'm super interested in how we can bring the ethos of like community and culture into those spaces. So we just started building, and you know, we have what, 12 people on the team, 9 right now. The company's called Rio Solutions, and yeah, we're growing really quick, and I've come to find that so my next book is actually being written through this experience, which is called Surrender. And it's because I did not, like, my entire life pushed, and this experience of, you know, creating this project that we're working on together just kind of came, and, you know, each of these individuals have come and have allowed me to like relax into what I do best, which is be a nurturing energy to help them to rise as leaders. And so I've spent most of my time listening and allowing. So, you know, Simone just started stepping up, and, you know, and just from a place of wanting to help the other team members understand, you know, different technologies that he was learning on the fly because he's so brilliant. And just watching all of this, and then just him stepping up as a leader, and I'm like, just keep going, you know. And then Richal shows up, you know, and same thing. And it's, I mean, it's so inspiring. It's so inspiring. I mean, we have such an incredible culture, and I'm learning so much about each of them. And, you know, we cry together, we work hard together, we learn together, and I am really determined to create one of the best cultures of any company in Indonesia. And I want to do that in partnership with them. And I want to show the world, you know, there is incredible brilliance in this country, and I just want to see them shine.
Love it. Love it. Man, yeah. My brother. And like what comes up for you when you hear something like that?
Well, I think that, of course, we will take it as a compliment. And also, I would add up the fact that Indonesia is a wide and broad nation. Another suggestion, and also probably this may answer your last question, was that you gotta find the right fit, the locals you'll be working with, and also who you really are, because you can easily spot the most traditional and conventional Indonesians sitting next to the most modernized, most advanced Indonesians. And yeah, finding your fit with whoever locals you're planning to work with, dating, or whichever is pretty crucial. And yeah, what I found about Ryan's statement is that we are progressing towards a new movement, a new thing. This company culture might not be for all Indonesians. I have to say that many Indonesians have a totally different mindset, and I cannot blame them. Many Indonesians probably the same mindset that Ryan had back in his Wall Street days. And we cannot blame them, We cannot blame tradition, we cannot blame geographic locations, we cannot blame demographic, parental upbringing, etc. It's cliche to say that it's a destiny that we met here, that we shared these conversations, and yeah, nothing but all the high gratitudes for Ryan to actually, and also for you, Rob, actually tied us up here.
Love that. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
And brother man, anything coming up for you?
Yeah, I never get tired of hearing that, by the way. I think that one thing that I want to readdress actually from Richal is about, and I've said this to Ryan too, either some kind of upper entity or angel probably got sent to you, because these people, they're now working together with us. These are very, very brilliant people, and we all come from different backgrounds, different backstories, but we have something similar, is that we're willing to grow, and there's a lot of things that we can grow. So I think that it's it really is a blessing, not just for you, but for every one of us to experience this, because like what Richal said, the culture, it might not be for everyone, but for me personally, it really is beautiful, because there's one thing inside here that I don't find in any other Indonesian companies, is honesty and transparency, where you can literally go up to anyone and say, I'm having a really bad day. My girlfriend just broke up with me, or I'm having stomach ache. And it would be accepted as part of living, because when we're actually still in our living state, and you can't neglect that part of you. And that's what I get from this company, is that it accepts you as a whole.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that. And before we move forward, so if you have any questions, right, it might be around Web3, NFTs, all of that good stuff, have them ready. Or if you have any questions about anything that you've heard already tonight, just have them ready. In the next 5 minutes, this will come to you, or one of them will come to you, and you get a chance to kind of question. But one thing that I want to draw attention to, because not everyone realizes this, right? So Indonesia, where you are right now, right? So it was predicted by 2030 to be the 4th largest economy in the world. That has been revised. It's going to happen much sooner, I think in 4 years. It is stable economically, politically, and there's no civil war, right? There's no war going on. People get along. Economic system is financially sound. The education minister, remember, education is what is what impacts the nation. The education minister is the founder of one of the biggest companies in Indonesia and in the world, which is Gojek, right? Nadeem, which some of you know. We had his co-founder, Mikey, on the show a while ago. He's an impeccable guy. So when you look at the next years, Indonesia going forward, all you actually see is stability and extremely good fundamentals and growth and technology. So where you look at parts of Europe, say, well, they're going through their thing right now. You look at America, stagflation. Well, that doesn't get cleared up, so you know. You look at other parts of the world, and it's almost like Indonesia is like a marathoner, right? And it's getting stronger and stronger, whilst others are faltering, slipping, or tripping. You know, so for those of you in Indonesia, you know, I spend with what I do as tourism time with lots of different types of people. Most recently, government in the agricultural ministry sector, talking to farmers, coming up with curated solutions from health to wealth to blockchain to obviously NFTs and all the rest of that, to hospitality and so many different industries. What I'm seeing more and more is this national pride of Indonesia, realizing that they can actually be the best. And then talk to people like you who are on the younger end of the scale, it inspires me, right? When I look at, the other day I was hosting a ceremonial cremation for Erawan, the king of Korambutan, his dad, who passed away. He was one of the guys who was one of the first to open up his puri to foreigners. Mick Jagger, Rolling Stones, King Hussein of Jordan, Ronald Reagan, Whitney Houston. This guy passed away. And it was incredible because, you know, going through that experience, I got to go beneath a little bit more of Balinese culture. I got to really see, you know, how it operates in a from a cellular level in many ways, and it's phenomenal what is going on here. So if you're watching this from somewhere else, I know it sounds like a massive push for Indonesia. It is. I don't apologize for it. It's true. So you got to get here. So that said, now does anyone have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand. And what we'll do, my brother, is that if we can grab IU, and maybe we'll take this microphone, and we can share this one here, and this microphone can go walkabout, and they can they can go and answer some questions. Great. So just a show of hands, who here has heard of Web3? Yeah, good. NFTs? Cool. Lucas, you haven't heard of NFTs? Put your hand up, man. Again, tell the truth this time. Who here has heard of Web3? Okay, NFTs, blockchain. I was going to say something quite odd there, but I won't. We're on camera after all. So does anyone have a question? Just raise your hand. Lucas, right. And when you ask your question, maybe pinpoint a person that you'd like to answer that question, and we'll go like that, yeah.
It's not related to NFTs or Web3, the question.
It's all good, no, but all good.
Ryan, I think, right? Said before when we started talking, well, when you started talking that you started studying foreign policy to understand why people don't get along, right? On a country level, let's say, right? And I read a book from Ray Dalio, which is a very renowned investor, that's called Principles to Understanding the Changing World Order, right? And he explains as one of the basic reasons for why an empire or a powerful country might go down, he names precisely this, the people and the instability, the internal instability of a country when people don't get along for different reasons like race or religion or politics. So since you are from the US, my question would be like, why do you think that's happening in the US right now? And there's such a polarization on very different fronts, such as politics, race, religion, you name it, class, wealth.
Wow. These are big questions, and I'm going to really discipline myself to try to keep that one concise. so much in that. Yeah, I have a lot of trauma with America, which is why I chose to spend 20 years in it, which is probably both the most American and most un-American of cities, which is New York. So I was insulated in many ways. But after a while, it was the trauma, which is in me, was so strong that I knew that it was time for me to spend more time away from America and then eventually fully unplug. But yeah, what I witness as the trauma is, I mean, this America was built American dream, and it's a looking outward, looking outside of ourselves, and then we can go on and on with examples of like the advent of PR in America and using movies as a way to kind of like show what the good life represents, and and then we can speed up to like social media. And the early days of social media, it was a lot of it was started in the U.S. and it's designed in a way to like pull our attention outside of ourselves, to the point where we don't really know who we are, but we're acting like we know who we are, and this creates a massive disconnection. Because Americans are really great at, acting like they've got everything figured out and they understand everything. But underneath it, we have a very young culture. And you look at a lot of empires that have come and gone and collapsed. And if you dissect the collapse of different cultures in empires, it's disconnection. That you start to see that, the top disconnects from the bottom. They create these hierarchical structures, and then the top becomes disconnected from the rest, and then there's a disconnection between everyone. And I see this happening in America, and it's painful, which is why I've chosen to be away and still send love. But yeah.
Cool, man. Thank you, Brother Lucas. Great answer, great question. So, is anyone else? Oki, welcome, brother. Great to see you, my brother. So, if you just pass it behind you, to either Natalie, Rafi,
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much. So, my question would be for the team, and my question is, what would be the value to Pure for Bali? As you know, and I'm certain that you know that Bali is already a great place for network and connection. We have great people here, Robert Masterby, Gil Masterby as well. So what would be your added value for an island which pretty much during the pandemic, great minds they all have been gathering here. What would be the added value, basically, that you would bring to Bali?
Good. So if I clarify the question, the question is that here in Bali we have some amazing minds, some great minds coming in who have been here, who are part of the fabric, some names. And then, so what you're saying is that, the Pure, their contribution to Bali, like kind of how would they value add to Bali? Is that the question?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is already great networkers and great initiatives are being done here. So what would you guys are different from the existing ones?
Great. So what would you do differently to add to that? What would you do differently from the great networks which are actually here? Great. Good question.
May I take this? All right. So thank you for the question. And I think that I do agree with you. There are a lot of things going on in Bali, which are great, obviously. And I think two things that differentiates us are the first one is the culture that we're building. Because, taking on this culture of acceptance, of, in a way, being as part of that company, an individual that's vulnerable, because within vulnerability comes that strength and comes that ability to grow and to learn and to develop ourselves. And by having this safe space to actually be vulnerable, I believe we can not only just have ourselves develop, but actually kind of having others develop, because that's what the core of what we're building from Ryan is, that he's letting others to develop, and we're taking it on. We're getting other people to develop from different backgrounds and different different areas of this world. So that's the first added value, in my opinion. And the second value is, I don't know if this can be an added value, but we're building a team, except for Ryan, we're building a team of all Indonesians to, in a way, take on this new industry that's been growing. It's still very new in Indonesia, and even to some extent to the whole world, Web3. And building this team of all Indonesians with the culture that we bring, blended with also the cultural and the beliefs of international. I think it could really create something that's really beautiful, and something well, since we're based in Bali, obviously, it's going to benefit Bali, because when we start networking, other people are also going to start believing in what we're doing, and they're going to start coming out of their shells, and then it's going to be easier to find these Indonesian gems.
Love it. And so what we'll do, we'll grab one more question, which I think was two questions. So now you had one, yeah. Just be Natalie, just beside you, Rafi. Where you going, man? no, she's right next to you. So, yeah. So we go, Natalie. Let me go to my brother here, and then just before you ask the question, then after that we'll bring it back to this beautiful panel of people, the Pure Project. We've got a few closing comments, and then if it's okay with you guys, we'll switch your cameras off, and then for those who want to stay back 15 minutes or so to have a deeper chat, we can do that. So, Natalie, the question is with you.
Okay, so many questions, but what's living within me right now? So, for the team, Simone and your beautiful
Richel.
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay,
Thank you.
So to go back to the question earlier, what we can learn from each other. I would love to hear, what would you say is the number one thing that we, and when I say we, everyone that's not Indonesian, learn and benefit the most from your culture? Like, what would be the one thing to gift the rest of the world with that you've got that we still seriously need to learn?
Okay, thank you so much, Natalie, for your question. This may also readdress Nathan's previous question. Well, from ourselves, Balinese, Pure Family, I think number one strength that we can provide is our insights. So basically, our team members ourselves, we came from various backgrounds. We came from Java Island, Maluku Island, and even Indonesians ourselves, we from so many ancestries and also like so many backgrounds. We're so diverse. And by the way, I'm speaking of insights, is that us Indonesians experienced a lot in a way that past decades we are a sleeping wealthy person. By wealthy, in a way, I say that, you know, when rich people screams, wealth whispers. And I think in a way that, yeah,
I'm sorry.
in the past decades,
That was impulse from that.
you can find many Indonesians who actually live not in the city, in the rural area. They have gold more than many rich people in the big cities do, and they just don't realize how worthy they are, how wealthy they are. But they just live in peace, happy, and not complaining about how life is supposed to be. And then the modernization hits. Globalization hits, internet, Web 1, Web 2, and now Web 3 arrive, and Indonesians suddenly realize that, my God, we can accomplish many things. We are actually not only equal, but we are actually almost achieve what does it mean to be in an equal level with any other nations in the whole world. It's just depending on how can we utilize and weaponize our strength as Indonesians. So yeah, I think back again to your questions about insights, we kind of, I'm not saying that we know everything, but we are one of the most active netizens in the social media. We know how it feels like to be an outsiders in this world, to actually, from my perspective personally, when I was young, I was so westernized. Like, I look up to whatever Hollywood, the States, the UK has, and then I suddenly realized, wow, actually, we also have a lot to offer, but we are invisible up until today, up until this era, up until this decade, for instance. So when we compare, let's say, do not make people who actually has accent because they actually speak more than one language. It actually occurs to us. Like, we have been becoming outsiders ever since. We have been sleeping, wealthy people who actually sleep, and now we are actually came to a point where we're ready to, I'm not saying conquering the world, but what I'm trying to say is that to feel the benefit, to actually benefit from the benefit of the doubt, if you know what I mean. Maybe you'll have to add something else? Yeah.
So, chills. Okay. Okay. I would like to add something to that, and it's going to be very, very brief. What I think that's the most important thing that I don't like the word outsiders, but I'm going to use it because I can't think of anything better right now. What outsiders can learn from Indonesians is that we have a really, really high level of tolerance and compassion. And it goes to a certain level, it goes beyond. Like the amount of effort that you put into caring about one another. And actually, this is not said enough, but we're a nation, a country that believes and practices a lot of sacrifice for others. And I think a lot of us just don't realize that. And I think that's something that everyone can learn, because by doing that, you become one with the people around you. That's going to make the community unstoppable. So that's my answer.
Oh, thank you so much for asking my question with just so much pride and power. I love it. Oh. Thank you for the inspiration. I also got the goosebumps. Oh. So yeah, thank you.
I've still got them. They're still with me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Syed, yeah. Oh, Mike is yours. Damn. Oh. Oh, man. I can move there, it's okay. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Yeah, we're started up. Thank you, Syed.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for the invitation. I did not expect what I was going to go to. I'm hungover as well, so I'm really low energy today, but I'm so grateful to see this talk. So, Robert, thank you so much for the invitation. Ryan, thank you for what your story is incredible and what you've been doing. But I think when I'm speaking from my own perspective, I'm so proud of you two being here and the delivery and the message that you have. Like, you ever seen Aladdin, you know, when they talk about the diamond in the rough? The guy that wanted to be a prince but was a street rat. Coming from Afghanistan, I deeply resonate with this and understanding that human potential is infinite. You guys are embodying it. I'm very proud. On to the question. Thank you so much. What is the most exciting Web3 project that Pure is working on right now? Why? And interesting to hear from all of you, because maybe there's differences. And then I have a little follow-up question. What's the biggest gap that still needs to be filled in fulfilling the vision of those exciting projects?
Well, I'm going to say what my two favorite are, and then talk about those projects a little bit. So Heal and Pictoverse are the two projects. So I'll let you guys.
You want to go first or me?
Probably you.
Okay. Well, I can't decide because both of them are very, very different projects, different goals, different markets. So I guess I can talk about Heal. So a little background. Heal is basically building on to becoming this platform to connect people who is in need of a healer, and actually connecting them with the actual healer through a platform where you can basically swipe like Tinder. Profiles will be filled with like their previous the healer's previous experiences, what they offer with their healing, and all these different things. It makes healing so much more accessible to people. And the two ways in which everyone can benefit from this is that they offer a live session and a recorded session. So if you're living in a way different time zone from the healer that you want, you can still experience that feeling and kind of healing. You still get that. It's going to be different, but you still have that option. The implementation to Web3 from that project is that we're actually creating these NFTs initially to take this project to the next step. And these NFTs, they have a wide variety of utilities, and some of them I can share with you. So utilities is to get the premium or the first access to these different what's it called? It's lost in my head. Sessions. These different sessions, you can get access to them, and also when you've bought these NFTs, you obviously you can actually get to meet the people behind this project, because like what we're doing right now with these different NFTs is that we have a very, very little number, because we want to make sure that everybody that are minting can actually have, you know, this whole experience of what we're building, where it's going, and they can experience it firsthand, which is what like the implementation of Web3 was for Heal. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
And so, okay, for those of you who might not understand or aware of Web3, so Web3 is the current development of digitalizations, where previously on Web 1, it was all about, let's say, internet as an information platform, company profile, let's say. And on Web 2 is more of towards social media, where people connect with each other and or shop. While on Web 3, it is said to be how us people, human beings, to be in the internet rather than us showing online presence. So we can expect avatars, our more real presence, a more desired online presence rather than our reality itself. It's kind of spooky but exciting. And yeah, to add up Simone's and Ryan's statement is that not only that Heal, I also personally believe that Heal is my uttermost potentially most exciting project that we handle at the moment, because not only that it connects healers and people who might need them, and also there's Pictoverse, who will be our own metaverse space that connect art enthusiasts and the artist. And I personally believe that there's also another project going on from us. I don't think we can disclose it for now, but it is about, you know, about the core objectives of the Web3 itself, where this project actually wants you to be your own desired superhero. Okay, you have Instagram and you post something, you edit your photos, you alter your shape, etc. Imagine where you can actually appoint an avatar to be your own version of superhero, and that you have the full copyright of this avatar that you have, and that you can inspire the world. You can be your own superhero who actually probably be the best mother in the world, probably be the best cook who actually serve food for 10,000 hungry people in the world, etc., etc., etc. You name it. And that's our latest project that we're developing at the moment. And as for the biggest gap to bridge that we are currently facing is that how uncertain Web3 is to many people. Like, how will it be accessible to all people? Is that the answer that we need at the moment? And that's actually something that we need to fill in. We find that bridge because at the moment, let alone in Indonesia, you know, still in the phase of the euphoria of the Web2 itself. We're still enjoy the social media hypes. Introducing Web3 is not the easiest thing to do, as its definition itself is still uncertain and indefinite. So, yeah, more or less, introducing and bridging Web3 is our biggest challenge. Thank you so much.
So now you have a follow-up question, right? You said you got a follow-up. Now, however, what we're going to do, because I like to keep to time, even though I'm pretty sure we're over time today, but so worthwhile. But what we'll do is that there's a few things that I want to you to share, which I'll get into in a second, and then after that we'll finish the recording, and then we'll stay back if that's okay, right, for 15 minutes or so, and then Syed, you can ask your follow-up question, and then we spend 15 minutes, anyone else who has any other questions off camera, okay? So hold on to that mic, it's fine. And so look, we've covered a lot of ground today. So we've covered about, you know, I feel like we kind of solved some of the biggest challenges that foreigners have when they come to Indonesia to work out how do we work together, you know, in a way that's whole, in a way that's intentional, and a way that's uplifting humanity as a whole. So we've discussed that. We've obviously, you know, reached your heart and seen what drives you, where you're from, what you do, and made that connection, which is. And what I really loved was, and I don't mean to say this apart from just to say it, is just how you two just owned it. Just owned it. And I did. Claim some of, and that's because that's supposed to power and let that power go for others to realize that they can also embody their own power and let that go. In closing, each of you, and you know, if we go Brother Ryan, who it started with, okay?
Can I reverse that?
Yes,
Okay.
I was going to actually. I love that.
Because I want to tee it off.
Good.
Because some is an ecosystem. Pure Project is the formal organization name. But we have a network of business units that we're developing. One of them is a network of Pure Houses that function as venture studios. Venture studios are these venture studios are designed to bring together people to co-create organizations that also function as DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations. Now, the importance of this is that what we're doing is we are recognizing our inherent sovereignty and our interdependence together, and we're designing organizations where we are co-stewarding, co-owning these organizations. And this team is here in Bali, 2 already. Then once we prove out 3, with our have others that are now. So working on a recording for Heal up at our property in Ubud. They're doing recordings of healers. So.
First, it's a pleasure to have us here. I'm pretty sure the pleasure is shared. So thank you. There's one thing that I would like to share. It's very interesting. So a lot of people are probably wondering, and this ties to what you said, a DAO. Is what we're a DAO is it's not autonomous yet, but it certainly is decentralized. It's a that placing the bricks with 10, 20 different people, because a lot of these people would want to place it differently, or like different bricks. I don't know if there are different bricks, but basically it's going to take longer. And some you've already put in place. You can then, another one comes in and say, I don't think that's a fit, and we take it out. It's going to take longer, but it's going to be stronger. So having this in motion and having, it's kind of like steady, slowly getting to where we want to be and keeping this belief, it's really important. And I think that's why what we try to inspire everyone that we meet is to build something together, like literally together. There's nobody on top. Like all of us are building this, and I think that's really powerful. So those are my last sentences.
So my 2 cents are, pure family is anything. I mean, it's nothing but traditional. As if I just realized that our team, I think I can say that 85% of our team consists of women, right? But trust me, they're the gentleman ones, like really, really, like literally gentle. And yeah, we're actually doing something for a better purpose, behind every project. We always injected our values, our national, international, and any values that we could ever think of. And also another thing that I can say is that we are open for any opportunities in the nearby future of sharing our thoughts and ideas. To these Web3 projects, NFTs, all the crypto wallets, but we actually look for opportunities to actually serve what we can do for the bigger and wider things.
I did say that was the last question, but it's not, because I was thinking of a question, and then you said that, and it's like ding, comes up. So the last question, promise the last question. Anyone can take it, up to you. So if people are watching now, they get a good sense of what you're about, what the project is about, where you're going, and so on. So if someone asked you, right, how can we contribute to you? Now, contribution doesn't have to be money. it can be. It doesn't have to be, knowledge but I don't want to frame the question too much. So the question is, if people are watching now, how can they contribute to you? And then the final thing is, how can they connect or find you?
Okay, so to answer that question, I would explain two things. One is that you can reach us anywhere. We're very open to have discussions, connecting with different networks and communities, because that's what we're all about. But in terms of contribution, this is what Ryan, this is his vision, and this is what we embody as a unit. Curation. If you want to contribute, yes, we're very happy, but we need to look whether or not this contribution actually fits us, because we only want to do things that we can actually believe in. So it stays open. We can have a chat, we can have lunch or anything, but it's just we're also very protective in what we're building. So you can easily find us on LinkedIn. We have our profile. If any of you are interested, we can share that later.
Share it now. Tell me.
Okay, so it's Rio Marketing. While for Instagram, it's We Are Rio Marketing. And also, if you guys want to reach out to by WhatsApp, it's very open. Maybe we can share Ryan's WhatsApp.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that.
I'll share that after on the details. Okay. Yeah. So anything comes up contribution?
Okay. So it can be a network, and it can be we have a lot to say, we have a lot to share, useful and very, very good informations. We just need somehow a medium, a platform to actually spread the words and spread the messages. Probably that's the most simple answer I have mentioned tonight. Ryan, how about you?
Sure. So we're in a really with Rio Marketing Solutions. We're in a really fortunate place that our partner is a tech company that's developing all of these different projects, and then our team is launching them. So we're in that fortunate place where we're not looking for clients, because we have a steady flow of projects to work on. Our challenge is attracting, I shouldn't say challenge, but our focus right now is on attracting top Indonesian talent. So we're doing 4 to 5 calls a day. Our next goal is to reach 30 people. My personal goal is to create the best culture of any Indonesian company. I'm really excited about that.
Love it. And it was the final. What people are you looking for? He said the best. You're looking for Indonesian talent, but what are you looking for specifically?
It's. I'm not concerned about the skills. We're looking for people that are creative thinkers, have a critical mind, and are problem solvers.